Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Pada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva. One minute. Okay, sorry. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुर्वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां स्वगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome back to our weekly Chaitanya Charitamrita session. Today we are going to continue from Antya Lila 5th chapter 86 verse onwards. I'll quickly share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So devotees can raise your hand. So what we were discussing is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his humility and out of his love for his devotee, was apparently performing different kinds of pastimes of or leelas simply to glorify the devotees. Like we know that just the recent exhibition of the glories of Ramananda Rai, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu articulated or how he created a situation such that Pradyumna Mishra could clearly appreciate the transcendental qualities of Ramananda Rai. And as Prabhupada also mentions that such devotees we cannot imitate, and we can only understand that what are the ideal standards we can appreciate and get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. If we think anything else, it is not good for us, nor we will stop ourselves from receiving the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also, we also know that Ramanandra is none other than Vishaka Sakhi. So in his so he is always in the service of the different gopis. So that way also the act which was performed by Ramanandra was not abominable, but nonetheless we cannot imitate it. So that way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used this situation for him to give an opportunity no for to give an opportunity to Pradyumna Mishra to understand the transcendental qualities of Ramana Rai. Also, he himself took it as an opportunity to glorify his own devotees. So similarly, Prabhupada also goes on to explain that all the situations when it came to Rupa Goswami or by Sanatan Goswami or Haridas Thakur, different situations were created, and everything one situation was it was brought to a stage like for Rupa Goswami. When he saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra, Mahaprabhu composed a verse, and Rupa Goswami understood his heart, and he composed another parallel verse. And then Mahaprabhu comes, and then he reads, then he brings all the senior devotees, and that way he glorifies Rupa Goswami. So that is the way there was an introduction of the glories of Rupa Goswami to others. Everybody could understand his the great character, the how deep is the personality of Rupa Goswami. So that also could understand. So these are the different pastimes enacted by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to simply glorify his devotees. So go on, we'll go on, start with 586. Devotees, please raise your hands. Who wants to read? I mean, you're Swati Mataji, yes, 586 onwards. 5, yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hari bol.
हरिद्वार द्वारा नाम महात्म्य प्रकाश सनातन द्वारा भक्ति सिद्धांत विलासा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited the glories of holy name of the Lord through Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Muslim family. Similarly, he exhibited the essence of devotional service through Sanatana Goswami, who had almost been converted into a Muslim.
All these things we have seen, how Haridas Thakur, how he was tried to get bewildered by Ramachandra Khan by sending a prostitute, and how that prostitute, after 3 days in association of Haridas Thakur, her herself turns out to be a great Goswamini actually. So that way the glories of the holy name was brought out by this incident, and the glories of Haridas Thakur was also brought out. Similarly, we also know the essence of devotional service of Sanatan Goswami. We know one incident was his 2 months of instruction to Sanatan Goswami directly at Varanasi, and later just the pastime which we already heard in the previous chapter was how when Sanatan Goswami comes and he wants to commit suicide, and then Mahaprabhu stops. Then he says that these are things. Your body is my property, and I need to accomplish these things through you. You are capable of doing it. So that way, Sanatan Goswami goes on to write all the his literary contributions are enormous, and where in details of devotional service and details of who is who, that is, who am I, what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord, and what is the ultimate, why are we doing all this devotional service, what is Krishna Prema, what is Prayojana of all this devotional service. All these things are detailed, are written by Sanatan Goswami in his books like Hari Bhakti Vilas. So all this Mahaprabhu created a situation, and then he, in order to glorify his devotees, he gives instructions to his devotees. So here it is mentioned about Haridas Thakur and Sanatan Goswami. Mataji, next one.
Yes, Mataji. Can you scroll up, Mataji?
Yeah.
रूप द्वारा व्रजेरा प्रेम रस लीला के भूजिते पारे गंभीरा चैतन्य खेला. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Also, the Lord fully exhibited the ecstatic love and transcendental pastimes of Vrindavana through Srila Rupa Goswami. Considering all this, who can understand the deep plans of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Yeah, exactly. Now we know Rupa Goswami, how he was given instructions, and that one just now we already mentioned about it. So all these great personalities were introduced in different ways to the senior devotees and through the world as in large, and they were given instructions so that their glories comes out. So whole essentially, Mahaprabhu wants to glorify his devotees. Mataji, next one.
श्री चैतन्य लीलाए अमृतेरा सिंधु त्रिजगत ते पारे यारा एक बिंदु. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an ocean of nectar. Even a drop of this ocean can inundate all the three worlds. Purport. Mataji, shall I read purport?
Yes.
Purport. The inundate the three worlds with the three worlds. To inundate the three worlds with nectar is the purpose of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How this could be possible was exhibited by Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami and later by Thakur Narottama Dasa and Shyamananda Goswami, who all represented the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now that same mercy is overflooding the entire world through the Krishna conscious movement. The present Krishna conscious movement is non-different from the pastimes performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was personally present. For the same principles are being followed by the same actions performed without fail.
That is the greatness of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is saying that later to inundate the three worlds with devotional service, with three worlds with the transcendental glory of Lord Shri Krishna, and devotional service to Lord Shri Krishna was the purpose of Lord Chaitanya's avatar only. Who he himself being the supreme personality of Godhead, appeared as a devotee. So we know this. How he achieved through Narottam Das Thakur, Shamananda Pandit, and Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das Goswami later he established this one, Shamakund, Radhakund, all those holy places also he excavated. And here Narottam Das and Shamananda Goswami, these people, they actually distributed the books of the Goswamis. They carried personally from Vrindavan in trunk. They carried the books of Srinivas Thakur, Shamananda Pandit, and Narottama Das Thakur. These three actually, they had carried the books of the Goswamis and had gone towards north to distribute it. And in between, they encountered a lot of troubles and tribulations. The books were stolen, and then one whole Vahan Vishnupur, that town is called. Everybody are thieves only. Nobody can cross only that particular city, and they'll get stolen. But then later by Srinivas Acharya, Srinivas Pandit, and Narottama Das Thakur, and Shamananda Goswami, these three people had gone. So Srinivas Acharya stays back, and then by the power of his devotional service and his transcendental qualities, the entire city became the Krishna conscious. And the king himself, he hands back all the trunk of the books. So point is, these people in the geographical world, if you consider, most of the India was covered that way because the books were transported from Vrindavan to north and other parts of the country. But then these instructions was taken in heart by Srila Prabhupada. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told Srila Prabhupada that spread this message of Lord Shri Krishna in the English language, so that he took it as his heart and soul, and he did it. He really, what he did was amazing. It is uncomparable because in the 1960s, to think about distributing a transcendental book in America, in the US, it was something unthinkable. And he being 70 years old, and he from a remote city, or we can say Kolkata was not very remote, but he actually did not have any connections in the Western world, at least. So then at that time, Srila Prabhupada takes that instructions, Lord Chaitanya's instruction, Lord Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instructions, and it goes to the Western world. And that is how he gave the Krishna consciousness to the entire world. So the purpose, the entire purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually fulfilled by Srila Prabhupada. That was the purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to glorify devotees, to glorify Krishna, to to give the knowledge of devotional service of Lord Shri Krishna to everyone. So that was actually fulfilled by our Srila Prabhupada. Next one, Mataji, Swati Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, can you scroll up? Chaitanya Charitamrita Nityakara Pana Yaha Aite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gnana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O devotees, relish daily the nectar of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for by doing so, one can merge in the transcendental bliss and attain full knowledge of devotional service.
So that is what we are doing. That is the special mercy and special blessing of Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees in that line. Like now, somebody has arranged for us to talk, somebody has arranged for us to hear. So we are able to glorify. We have the books with us by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees who distribute the books. So we have the copies in hand. We have the opportunity to discuss, make the full use of it, and get the full glory, is what has been told here by Srila Prabhupada. Okay, next one. Next one, Mataji. Swati.
Scroll, Mataji, can you scroll?
Yeah, it is opening. Yes, yes.
Eyi mate Mahaprabhu Bhakta Gana Lana Nila Chale Viharaye Bhakti Parachara Chariya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by his associates, his pure devotees, enjoyed transcendental bliss in Jagannath Puri, Neelachala, by preaching the Bhakti cult in many ways.
That way they were all happy like that. Yes, next Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
बंगादेशी एक विप्र प्रभु रचरिते नाटक करिलाया आइला प्रभु के सुनाइते. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A Brahmana from Bengal wrote a drama about the characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and came with this manuscript to induce the Lord to hear it.
So now we come to another incident where a Brahmana in Bengal, he had a write-up. He wanted to make a drama glorifying or talking about the characteristics of Lord Chaitanya, and he had written some script and he wanted to read it out to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next one, Mataji.
भगवानाचार्य सने तारा परिचय तारे मिले तारे घरे करिला आलया. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmana was acquainted with Bhagavan Acharya, one of the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, after meeting him at Jagannath Puri, the Brahmana made his residence at Bhagavan Acharya's home.
So this Bhaganacharya is an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this Brahmana was a friend of Bhagavan Acharya, and so now that Brahmana meets Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. So he meets Mahaprabhu. He was from somewhere. He meets Mahaprabhu, and now he stays with Bhagavan Acharya's home, and he has written that particular drama on Mahaprabhu. Mataji, next one.
Yes, Mataji. प्रथमे नाटक ते हो तारे सुनाईला तारा संगे अनेक वैष्णव नाटक सुनीला. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. First, the Brahmana induced Bhagavan Acharya to hear the drama, and then many other devotees joined Bhagavan Acharya in listening to it.
So Bhagavan Acharya and others also heard him. Now he has come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mataji, next one.
सबै प्रशंसे नाटक परम उत्तम महाप्रभु रे सुनाईते सबरा हैला मना. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the Vaishnavas praised the drama, saying, very good, very good. They also desired that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hear the drama.
So it has that drama has full glorifications of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, looks like. So devotees being very devoted to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very happy hearing, and they wanted Mahaprabhu also to hear his own glories. Mataji, next one.
गीता श्लोक ग्रंथ कवित्व येई करे आने प्रथमेशु नायसेई स्वरूपे रस्थाने. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Customarily, anyone who composed a song, verse, literary composition or poem about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first had to bring it to Swarupa Damodar Goswami to be heard. Thank you,
We know
Mataji.
that when Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, Swarup Damodar Goswami and later Ramananda Rai were always permanent associates. And it is told that Swarup Damodar Goswami is Lalita Sakya and Ramananda Rai is Vishakha Sakya in their original form. So they were his constant associates. Also, everybody wanted at one point of time wanted to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So and write something. See, I also want to write some 10 lines about Mahaprabhu, and I want Mahaprabhu to read it. So naturally, people loved Mahaprabhu, and they wanted to do something and show to Mahaprabhu. So they had made a rule that anybody writes something or brings something, but it has to go through Swarup Damodar Goswami as a filter, because they did not want to disturb Mahaprabhu, because sometimes people are very sahajiyas and they start comparing Mahaprabhu with something which disturbs Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they wanted to prevent that. So the filter was Swarup Damodar Goswami. It should always go through. That was the rule. So now this Prabhuji, this Brahmana has written a drama. So others have heard. Now he wanted to put it across Mahaprabhu, but the rule is it should go through Swarup Damodar Goswami. Umadevi Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी दंडवत प्रणाम.
Dandavat.
स्वरूपतानि उत्तरे यदि लीलाया तांड्रमना तबे महाप्रभुताई करय श्रवणा. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If passed by Swarupa Damodara Goswami, it could be presented for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear.
Yeah, next one.
रसभसहयादि सिद्धांत विरोधा सहितेन पारे प्रभु मानेहाय क्रोधा. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there were a hint that transcendental mellows overlapped in a manner contrary to the principles of the Bhakti cult, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not tolerate it and would become very angry. Purport, Mataji?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura quotes the following definition of Rasabhasa from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Uttara Vibhaga, 9th wave, 1, 33, 33, 38 and 41. पूर्वम् एवानुसिस्तेन विकलारस लक्षणा रस एव रसाभासा रसज्ञैर् अनुकीर्तितः स्यूयत्रिपा त्रिदोपरासस् चानुरासस् च पारसास् चेते चते उत्तम मध्यमा प्रोक्ता कनिष्ठाश्चेति अमिक्रमात् प्राप्तैस्तयै वैभवनुभू
You
वैनभवद्यया.
want to read a translation only?
Okay, Mataji. Okay.
Yeah.
A mellow, temporarily appearing transcendental but contradicting mellows previously stated and lacking some of the mellows necessities is called rasabhasa, an overlapping mellow by advanced devotees who know how to taste transcendental mellows. Such mellows are called uparasa submellows, anurasa imitation transcendental mellows, and aparasa opposing transcendental mellows. Thus, the overlapping of transcendental mellows is described as being first grade, second grade, or third grade. When the 12 mellows, such as neutrality, servitorship, and friendship, are characterized by adverse sthai bhava, vaibhava, and anubhava ecstasies, they are known as uparasa submellows. When the 7 indirect transcendental mellows and the dried up mellow of neutrality are produced by devotees and moods not directly related to Krishna and devotional service in ecstatic love, they are described as anurasa, imitation mellows. If Krishna and the enemies who harbor feelings of opposition toward him are respectively the object and abodes of the mellow of laughter, the resulting feelings are called aparasa, opposing mellows. Experts in distinguishing one mellow from another sometimes accept some overlapping transcendental mellows, rasabhasa, are as rasas due to their being pleasurable and tasteful. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Paraspara vairayar yadi yogas tada rasabhasaha. When two opposing transcendental mellows overlap, they produce rasabhasa, or an overlapping of transcendental mellows.
Oh, it is a little technical, but basically that rasabhasa is suppose Gopi's love is it has one particular rasa, and the queens of Dwarka have a different rasa. That is Parakiya and Swakiya. Is it? They are two different rasas. But if somebody wants to just mix up those both rasas, that is the gopis of Vrindavan also wanted to be the wives. I'm not very clear on that, but point is the transcendental mellows when there is or even in regular poetry also there is a different metaphor, simile, and all. We cannot just mix everything. Those who understand poetry or those who understand such writings, they'll feel they just cannot tolerate it. Similarly, so they did not want to have a concocted rasa bhasa in any writing which was given to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because certain things he cannot tolerate. Simply, if you compare the love of gopis with something very natural, very regular thing, then he will not like it. So that was the reason it was always produced to Swarup Damodar Goswami before it reaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To explain that, this was told by Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, next one.
Okay, Mataji. अतएवा प्रभु कीचु आगे नहीं सुने यही मर्यादा प्रभु करिया चेनिया में. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not hear anything before Swarupa Damodara heard it first. The Lord made this etiquette a regulative principle.
So this was the rule that was followed always. Next one, Mataji.
स्वरूपेराथानि आचार्य कैला निवेदना एका विप्रा प्रभुरा नाटक करियाचे उत्तमा. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavan Acharya submitted to Swarupa Damodara Goswami, a good Brahmana, has prepared a drama about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that appears exceptionally well composed.
Now, this Brahmana was a friend of Bhagavan Acharya who was staying in Bhagavan Acharya's home only, and he had written a writing which glorifies as Mahaprabhu, and Bhagavan Acharya personally had read it, and devotees around had read it, so they liked it very much. So, but still the rule was to go through Swarup Damodar Goswami, so he produces it recommending that that this good Brahmana has written, it is very nice, please read it, like that. Next one.
अदावु तुम्ही सुना यदि तोमारा मना माने पाचे महाप्रभु रे ताबे करेमु श्रवणे. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. First you hear it, and if it is acceptable to your mind, I shall request Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear it. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat.
Sumati Mataji next.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
स्वरूपा कहे तुम्ही गोप परम उदारा, ये से शास्त्र सुनीते इच्छा उपजे तुम्हारा. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swarupa Damodara Goswami replied, Dear Bhagavan Acharya, you are a very liberal cowherd boy. Sometimes the desire awakens within you to hear any kind of poetry.
So he says, Prabhu says that Swarup Damodar Goswami says to Bhagavan Acharya that you are a very simple person. Anybody can put across their writing to you and you will feel everything is nice only. Like that. Basically, you so much, because you're very simple at heart, so much you don't distinguish whether this is right, not right. Like that he says. Next one, Sumati Mataji.
यद्वा तद्वा कवीरा वाक्ये हाया रसा भासा सिद्धांत विरुद्ध सुनीते नाहाया उल्लासा. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the writings of so-called poets, there is generally a possibility of overlapping transcendental mellows. When the mellows thus go against the conclusive understanding, no one likes to hear such poetry. Purport. Yadva Tadva Kavi refers to anyone who writes poetry without knowledge of how to do so. Writing poetry, especially poetry concerning the Vaishnava conclusion, is very difficult. If one writes poetry without proper knowledge, there is every possibility that the mellows will overlap. When this occurs, no learned or advanced Vaishnava will like to hear it.
Generally, a best poet is one who is a very good devotee. When he is a very good devotee, he knows which is the transcendental rasa. He'll not make that rasa bhasa because he knows the tattva also. One, he knows the writing, that skill also he has, and he knows the tattva also. But those who are only skill and do not know, are not very experts in tattva, then what happens is their poetry may be very melodious to read and it would have matching it would have all the required elements in the poetry would be present. But then if it does not match with the tattva, no, then Vaishnavas don't want to hear it. That is the point. So that is what Swarup Damodar Goswami is trying to tell to Bhagavan Acharya. So anyone and everyone cannot write, which Mahaprabhu should hear, like that. Mataji, next one.
Yes, रसा रसा भासा यारा नाही का विचारा भक्ति सिद्धांत सिंधु नाही पाया पारा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A so-called poet who has no knowledge of transcendental mellows and the overlapping of transcendental mellows cannot cross the ocean of the conclusions of devotional service.
So when he does not have that knowledge, then naturally and automatically that poem will not be great or will not match the tattva. There will be rasa bhasa. Is like strongly Swarup Damodar Goswami is telling hereby. Mataji, next.
व्याकरणा नाही जाने ना जाने अलंकारा नाटकालंकार ज्ञाना नहीं कायाहारा. कृष्ण लीला वर्णिते ना जाने से ही चारा विशेषे दुर्गमाये चैतन्य विहारा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Jai. A poet who does not know the grammatical regulative principles, who is unfamiliar with metaphorical ornaments, especially those employed in drama, and who does not know how to present the pastimes of Lord Krishna, is condemned. Moreover, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are especially difficult to understand.
Why it is difficult to understand? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his one action, he does so many other things. Like we know the pastime of Pradyumna Mishra, Ramananda Rai, Haridas Thakur, Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami. So by his one act, by performing one particular Leela, so many other things he has achieved. Only a devotee can understand him. And because now if the poem says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a very great human being, but that is not correct because he is a supreme personality of God. So these are very sensitive things. Very thin line is there between who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how much to tell about it. So those only the devotees can understand. And so Swarup Damodar Goswami says that he says indirectly that anybody and everybody who writes about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we don't have to present it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is what he was trying to tell. Krishnamurti Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams Mataji.
Mandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Krishna Lila, Gaura Lila, Sekare Vardana, Gaura Pada Padmayandra, Aya Pranadhana. Translation Vesi Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki jai. One who has accepted the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his life and soul can describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna or the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Only a devotee who has accepted Mahaprabhu as his life and soul is possible to understand or describe Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mata Prabhuji, next one.
ग्राम्य कवीर कवित्वा सुनीते हाय धुक विगाध आत्माय वाक्य सुनीते हाय सुख. Translation Basi Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Hearing the poetry of a person who has no transcendental knowledge and who writes about the relationship between man and woman simply causes unhappiness, whereas hearing the words of the devotee fully absorbed in ecstatic love causes great happiness. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Gramya Kavi refers to a poet or writer such as the authors of novels and other fiction who write only about the relationship between the man and woman. Vigadha Atmaya Vigadma Atmaya Vakya, however, refers to words written by a devotee who fully understands pure devotional service. Such devotees who follows the parampara system are sometimes described the Saj,
Sajatiyasya
Sajatiyasya
Snigdha.
Snigdha are pleasing to the same class of people. Only the poetry and other writings of such devotees are accepted with great happiness and devotees.
By devotees. So point is anybody and everybody. Basically, they write about what they have unheard, what has been mentally understood by them, and not through scriptures. No shastra vakya is there for that. Mental concoction and what is pleasing to their brains. That is the Prabhupada gives the example of man and women relationship or something like that. Gramya Katha, generally they write. So only a devotee who has understand the tattva as it is can write the right conclusions or have a very great writing. So anybody who writes that will not be pleasing to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what Swarup Damodar Goswami is trying to explain to Bhagavan Acharya. Prabhuji, next one.
रूपयायी चे दुयी नाटक करी चे हम आरंभे सुनीते आनंद बदे यार मुक्त बंदे. Translation Vesi Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. The standard for writing drama has been set by Rupa Goswami. If a devotee hears the introductory portions of his two dramas, they enhance this transcendental pleasure.
You remember once when Rupa Goswami had come to Siddha Bakul and we had Sarvam Bhattacharya, we had Ramananda Rai, we had Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we had Haridas Thakur, then we had Rupa Goswami. And that is the time when Ramananda Rai says that, okay, I know that you have written two dramas, the Lalita Madhava and the Vidakta Madhava. So could you please explain the first two introductory verses? And when he reads, everybody was in complete ecstasy. We also heard it and we have forgotten it already. So everybody was in complete ecstasy. So it says that is the kind of writing we are supposed to do, who is completely engaged in devotional service also. Like that, Swarup Damodar Goswami tells to Bhagavan Acharya. Prabhuji, next one.
भगवान आचार्य कहे सुना एक बारा तुम्ही सुनिले भला मंदा जाने बेविचारा. Translation Vesi Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Despite the explanations of Swarupa Damodara, Bhagavan Acharya requested, please hear the drama once. If you hear it, You can consider whether it is good or bad.
Point is, now Bhagavan Acharya's friend, no, that Brahmana. To encourage him also, no, Bhagavan Acharya like once was, please, 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 you read. Once you read, you know, you will understand. I understood what you are telling, but you just read this. He has really written nice. Like that, we have no sometimes that Shifar is giving. So like that, Bhagavan Acharya is kind of insisting to Swarup Damodar Goswami simply read once what the Brahmana has written. Next one, Prabhuji.
दुईति न दीन आचार्य आग्रह करिला तांड्र आग्रहे स्वरूपेरा सुनीते इच्छा हाइला. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. For 2 or 3 days, Bhagavan Acharya continually asked Swarupa Damodara Goswami to hear the poetry. Because of these repeated requests, Swarupa Damodara Goswami wanted to hear the poetry written by the Brahmana from Bengal.
So what happens is, now continuously he is giving requests. So then Swarup Damodar Goswami thought that, okay, we will hear what the Brahmana has written, like that. Gandhi Mati Mataji. Mataji, you are there? Gandhi Mati Mataji? Okay. This set you read. Dr. K. Karpagavalli Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. 511. Sabalana Surupa Gotani Sunita Vasila Tabe Sita Vignanti Loka Pandila. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. Swarupa Damodara Goswami sat down with other devotees to hear the poetry, and then the poet began to read the introductory verse.
So now, okay, then let's read
Next
it. So
one.
that Brahmana was called and then the poetry was started to be read. Yes, Mataji.
Antya Lila 511.
Your audio is not clear, Mataji.
Jagannatha Samjini. 1 minute, Mataji. Now it is okay, Mataji?
Little better. You read the translation.
Now okay, Mataji?
Yeah. Read the translation.
Okay, Mataji. The Supreme Personality translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has assumed a golden complexion and has become the soul of the body named Lord Jagannatha, whose glowing lotus eyes are widely expanded. Thus he has appeared in Jagannatha Puri and brought dull matter to light. May that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Deva bestow all good fortune upon him.
So this is what he has written.
Am I audible, Mataji?
You have audible. Little that sound is there, no problem. The Supreme Lord has assumed golden complexion and has become the soul of the body of named Lord Jagannath. Little later, Pichi Pichi has written that Rasabhasa has happened. We also cannot clearly tell because we don't know, no, basically. So this was the introductory verse of that Brahmana and he read it out. Next.
113. Lokasuni sarvaloka sankiri vakni surupa kahi is loka kare vakyayani. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. When everyone present heard the verse, they all condemned the poet. But
Condemned is different.
Commended. They all commended the poet, but Swarupa Damodara Swami requested him kindly explain this verse. Sorry, Mataji.
So the point is that because it was long lines, we did not read the Sanskrit. It was long and it was apparently looking very nicely composed. Everybody jai ho, they said. But then Swarup Damodar Goswami says, okay, what do you mean by this? When you say the body of the soul of Jagannath Mahaprabhu has assumed, means what is your conclusion? Like that Swarup Damodar Goswami means he asked, what do you mean by that? Mataji, next one.
Kavika Jagannatha Sundara Sarira Chaitanya Gotami Sariri Mahadira. Translation with Prabhupada ki jai. The point says, now Jagannatha is the most beautiful body and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is exceptionally great, is the owner of that body.
So what he's trying to say,
Can you read
Jagannath
that?
has a body and Mahaprabhu is the owner of the body. What does that mean? Now actually both the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now what he has a body and the owner of the body, it was not very right thing. Mataji, you read the purport.
Sariri refers to a person who owns the sarira or body, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.30. Dino Yata Tihi Kaumari Nyauvanam Jara Tata Dehem Tara Swapti Devira Tara Na Mukhyandi. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from the boyhood to youth to old age, the soul remains into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. For the ordinary living being in material existence, there is a division or distinction between the body and the owner of the body. In spiritual existence, however, there is no such distinction. For the body is the owner himself, and the owner is the body itself. In the spiritual existence, everything must be spiritual. Therefore, there is no distinction between the body and its owner.
See, we know that Lord Krishna's body is Sachidananda. That is, Lord's body is transcendental. There is no question of Lord in this. There is no question of like we have a soul, we have a body. Body is sthula and permanent is soul. Like that we have as jivas. But when it comes to Supreme Lord, there is no his body itself is the transcendental. So it is told that Lord Sri Krishna can perform any activities from any other part of any part of the activities, like from his hands also he can eat, from his hands also he can see, from his eyes also he can eat, like that. So the thing is that is Sachidananda body they have. So now this poet is writing the owner of the soul of the body of Jagannath is, so he says that how can that be own? There is no difference between the owner and the body when it comes to Supreme Lord. So there is a problem in his writing. He is trying to distinguish the owner, the soul, and the body when it comes to the Supreme Lord. But for the Supreme Lord, his body is not a body like us. It is there is no difference between soul and body. Everything is Sachidananda. Everything is eternal. So that is what he pinpointed. Swarup Damodar Goswami pinpointed in the writing. Mataji, next one.
115. Sahaji Jagadir Chetan Karaiti Nila Chale Mahaprabhu Aila Virbhuti. Translation. Translation Prabhupada Kiji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared here in Nilachala Jagannatha Puri to spiritualize the entire dull material world.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come down in Jagannath Puri because he is the Supreme Lord who has appeared here. So there is no question of his soul, his body. That doesn't work like that, he says. Gandhimati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am.
CC Antya 5.116 Suneya sabara haila anantina mana dukkapana swarupa kahe sakroda vachana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hearing this, everyone present was greatly happy, but Swarupa Damodara, who alone was very unhappy, began to speak in greater anger.
Because only Swarup Damodar Prabhu understood that, Swarup Damodar Goswami understood that there is the poem is not correct. So he was really irritated. What is he telling? Soul is different, body is different. But others were happy because it was a very great composition. So they were very happy. Only Swarup Damodar Goswami was unhappy. Yeah, next one.
117. Hare Murga Apanara Kaila Sarvanasa Duita Ishware Dora Nahika Vishwasha. Translation. You are a fool, he said. You have brought ill fortune upon yourself, for you have no knowledge of the existence of the two lords, Jagannatha Deva and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nor have you faith in them.
He just told like that. What is this you're talking? They are the two supreme personality of God, Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so this is not correct, like that he says. Mataji, next one.
118. Purana
Purnananda.
Purananda Sita Swarupa Jagannatha Raya Tanre Kaila Jatanaswara Prakruta Kaya. Translation: Lord Jagannatha is completely spiritual and full of transcendental bliss, but you have compared him to a dull, destructible body composed of the inert, external energy of the Lord. Purport.
What he said is the body of Jagannath, the owner of the body of Jagannath is Lord Chaitanya, because he wanted to glorify Chaitanya. Owner of the body of Jagannath means Jagannath has only a body. So then he is compared to a Sthula Sharir, like a Jiva Sthula Sharir, which was completely wrong. Purport you read, Mataji.
Okay. Okay. Scroll. Okay. If one thinks that the form of Lord Jagannatha is an ideal made of wood, he immediately brings ill forth according to the direction of the Padma Purana. Arki Vaishnava Shila Dihi Yashyava Narakisha. Anyone who considers the deity in the temple to be made of stone or wood is a resident of hell. Thus one would think that the body of Lord Jagannatha is made of matter, and who distinguishes between Lord Jagannatha's body and his soul is condemned, for he is an offender. A pure devotee who knows the signs of Krishna consciousness makes no distinction between Lord Jagannatha and his body. He knows that they are identical, just as Lord Krishna and his soul are one and the same. When one's eye are purified by devotional service performed on the spiritual platform, one can actually envision Lord Jagannatha and his body as being completely spiritual. The advanced devotee therefore does not see the worshipable deity as having a soul within a body like an ordinary human being. There is no distinction between the body and the soul of Lord Jagannatha. For Lord Jagannatha is Sachidananda Vigraha. Just as the body of Krishna is Sachidananda Vigraha, there is actually no difference between Lord Jagannatha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the ignorant poet from Bengal applied a material distinction to the body of Lord Sri Jagannatha.
This was the greatest mistake which we did. We just discussed about all this. Next one, Mataji.
5.119. Purna Sadasvarya Chaitanya Swayam Bhagavam Tanre Kaila Sutra Jiva Spulinga Samana. Translation: You have calculated Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences, to be on the level of an ordinary living being. Instead of knowing him as the supreme fire, you have accepted him as a spark. Purport. In the Upanishads, it is said, Yatagnar Vishpulinga Vyucharanti. The living entities are like sparks of fire, and his lordship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered the original great fire. When we wear this Shruti Vakya, our message from the Vedas.
When we hear, not where.
When ye hear this Shruti Vakya, our message from the Vedas, we should understand the distinction between the Supreme Lord Krishna and the living entities. A person under the control of the external energy, however, cannot understand that distinction. Such a person cannot understand that the Supreme Person is the original great fire, whereas the living entities are simply small fragmental parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Mamai Vamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaka Manasastani Intriyan manasastrani indriyani prakrudistani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts due to conditioned life. They are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. There is distinction between the body and the soul of the materially existing living being, but because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannatha do not possesses material bodies, there is no distinction between their bodies and souls. On the spiritual platform, body and soul are identical. There is no distinction between them, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.11.38. Yetatishna ishanam ishasya
Ishanam ishasya
एतातीशानाम् ईशस्य प्रकृतिस्थोऽपि तत्गुणैः
न युज्यते सदात्मास्तैर्
न युज्यते सतात्मास्तैर्यथा बुद्धिस्तथाश्रया यथा बुद्धिस्तथाश्रया. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord cannot be influenced by the material qualities. His Lordship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is unaffected by the influence of the three modes of material nature. Indeed, his devotees are also unpolluted by the influence of the external energy because they engage in the service of his Lordship. Even the very body of a devotee becomes spiritualized just as an iron rod put into fire becomes as qualified as fire because it becomes red hot and will immediately burn anything it touches. Therefore, the poet from Bengal committed a great offense by treating Lord Jagannatha's body and Lord Jagannatha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as two different entities, material and spiritual, as if the Lord were an ordinary living being. The Lord is always the master of the material energy. Therefore, he is not doomed to be covered by the material energy like an ordinary living entity. Hare Krishna.
Essentially, we know this analogy which is given in the Bhagavad Gita also. We know that Krishna Surya Saman means he's like the full sun. We have the sun planet and we have the sun disk and we have the sun rays. Similarly, we have the fire and we have the fire sparks. So we as jivas are qualitatively same as the Supreme Lord, but quantitatively it is the Supreme Lord who is the whole. That is the sun planet or the main fire is the Supreme Lord and the sparks are we jivas. But this poet, Mahashay, what he has written is, he has made Lord Jagannath's body as one of the sparks. And then, but Lord is Sachidananda Vigraha. So, Lord is non-different from his soul, his body is all Sachidananda. There is no question of his body being material and he has also a soul. So, that means basically the poet, with his ignorance, he is treating Lord Jagannath's body, comparing Lord Jagannath's body any ordinary living. Second point is, a devotee, forget about Lord Jagannath, even if a devotee, one who is always immersed in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord, the example is given is how a iron rod, when it is constantly in touch with the fire, gains the qualities of fire. Similarly, a devotee is apparently a jiva when he is consciously or constantly in touch with the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, accepts godly qualities. He also becomes to a certain level, he becomes spiritual. So then where is the question of God Jagannath being body being material? So it was a complete not understanding. Only it was written in a very beautiful, but the essence was very futile. So Sarup Damodar Goswami does not like it. Next one, Mataji, Gandhi Mati Mataji. Mataji, because it was a long purport. Padma has raised her hand.
Okay,
Let she read this last one, no? Padma Mataji, you can read this last one.
Okay, Mataji.
Padma, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Duitani aparade paipi durgati atatva jnana tatva varnetara iriti. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Swarupa Damodar continued. because you have committed an offense to Lord Jagannatha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will attain a hellish destination. You do not know how to describe the absolute truth, but nevertheless you have tried to do so. Therefore, you must be condemned. Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmana poet from Bengal was an offender in the estimation of Swarupa Damodar Goswami. For although the poet had no knowledge for the absolute truth, he had nevertheless tried to describe it. The Bengali poet was an offender to both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannatha, because he had made a distinction between Lord Jagannatha's body and his soul, and because he had indicated that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was different from Lord Jagannatha, he had committed offense to them both. A Tattva Jnana refers to one who has no knowledge of the absolute truth, or who worships his own body as the supreme personality of Godhead. If an ahankara Mayavadi person engaged in fruitive activities, or a person interested only in sense gratification describes the absolute truth, he immediately becomes an offender.
It is very important to have knowledge before writing something, because now this Brahmana did not have the knowledge of the absolute truth, but he chose to write, and beyond that they wanted the Supreme Lord to read it. So Swarup Damodar considered him as a friend. With that we stop here. Thank you very much. Grantra Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpataruvyasya kripa sindhubhayavacha
Patitanam
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
Namo
koti
Namo
Vaishnavaranda ki jai.
Ki jai,
Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari
Thank you,
Bol.
Mataji.